नमस्कार, उदय इंडिया डिजिटल में आप सबका स्वागत है. Now I am here at the International Media Center and right in the Pragati Maidan, the venue where the G20 summit is going to begin tomorrow. Today, India has told and before the world that what is new India, what is digital India, and how digital money is making wonders, and how the new India is attracted by all the major power centers.
That we should start our presidency with the theme of Vasudev Kutumbakam. That is, the world is one family. We are one earth, one family, and we should have one future. And the Prime Minister, who is the leader of G20 from India, and I act as his Sherpa, he said that our presidency, India's presidency, should actually be inclusive, it should be ambitious, it should be decisive, and it should be action oriented. And these are the four principles on which we have worked. And I can assure you that we have lived up to this vision of being inclusive, ambitious, action oriented, and very, very decisive during our presidency. During this presidency, we had some broad priorities with which we started. And these priorities were very critical for the global world. First of which, that at a point of time when 1/3 of the world is facing a recession, we should drive bold, sustainable, strong, and inclusive growth. The second key priority for us was to have accelerated sustainable development goals, because only 12 of the 169 SDGs are on track, and we are way behind the schedule. We are midway at the 2030 action point, but we are way behind it. Therefore, accelerating SDGs, improving learning outcomes, health outcomes, nutrition, all these were very critical for India's presidency. Thirdly, we wanted the world to take the lead on green development in the context of climate action and climate finance. And there were several components of this which we wanted to drive. And therefore, green development, climate action, climate finance was our third priority. And because both SDGs and climate action require finance, particularly for developing and emerging markets in the global south, it was critical that we focus on multilateral institutions of the 21st century.
In G20, India is going to highlight its rural economy, Ayurveda, and Indian arts, cultures, and the G20 presidency of India. Today, Amitabh Kant, current secretary, and the chief coordinator of G20 had in a press conference informed the media that India is going to achieve many things, and they are going to have a declaration, and after the declaration.
In keeping with the Prime Minister's vision for pan-Indian G20, we will have hosted one G20 meeting, at least one G20 meeting in every state and union territory of India. And to my mind, that is the finest example of cooperative federalism that we can see. Now, the effort has been, of course, to take the G20 down to the grassroots level through a process that we call Jan Bhagidari, which is the people's participation movement. And whether it is the G20 University Connect or the G20 Model Schools or quiz, essay and painting competitions, festivals, the G20 has been popularized and taken down to the grassroots levels in our country. We also looked at the G20 as an opportunity to highlight and showcase India's rich cultural heritage and diversity and our tourism potential. And in that context, we have hosted over 300 cultural events with the participation of over 18,000 of our cultural artists and experts. Of course, we have also made our presidency an inclusive one. Sherpa already mentioned that we had very significant participation from the global south and from Africa. We would have received about 100,000 visitors for our G20 presidency from over 125 nationalities. And for many of them, this has been the discovery of a new India. And I think that will be very significant for their point of view. Clearly, the G20 presidency will bring economic benefits to our country and to our citizens, and that's also a very important objective. Now, when you organize such a huge exercise, an unprecedented and uniquely Indian presidency, you do need an organizational base. And we've started on the organization planning of the G20 as early as the beginning of last year, 1.5 years before today's eve of the summit. We have set up the G20 Secretariat. In this process, it has been a whole of government approach and a whole of nation approach. Every single Indian citizen has been involved in that effort. And it's very important to note that about 15 million of our citizens have been directly involved in the participation of some G20 event or the other across our country. So in that organization India, we've had guidance from the Prime Minister himself, from Cabinet Ministers. There is a coordination committee which has been set up under the Principal Secretary of the Prime Minister, which includes the NSA, which includes Cabinet Secretaries, Senior Secretaries, Sherpa and all of us here. And this committee has been meeting regularly. It's met at least 9 times formally, many times informally, and has provided extensive guidance on every aspect and overseen every aspect of the presidency, organization and management. So I think that was important.
There are multiple lines of effort to ensure that BPI not only expands and spreads across various economic ecosystems within India, but also develops a huge value proposition for governance, for transparency, for financial inclusion internationally. And as I said, there are several strands and lines of effort which are going to do. I think there was a question with regard to the differences of priorities of global south and the industrial economies. Yes, that is a fact that industrial economies come from a very vastly different economic base, social base, and the global south comes different. But this is not to say that the priorities, interests, and the concerns of the global south are not relevant in the context of G20. I think if anything, they are perhaps central to the effectiveness, the functioning, and the successful outcome of the G20. So yes, those are different perspectives of the two respective, I would say, segments of the economy, but they both have a very important interface when it comes to the deliberations of G20. And as I said early on, India and Prime Minister himself have been at the forefront about speaking on the priorities of the global south. More importantly, why and how those priorities could be structured through the agenda and the discussions of the G20.
Foreign Secretary has told before the media that as a president of the G20, India is going to present a joint declaration after approval by different leaders, and this will be the biggest gain of India. And on this G20, along with other nations, India is going to achieve big things in the field of economy, in the field of IT sector, agriculture, rural economy, arts and culture. Let's hope that G20 will bring big success for India and of course for Narendra Modi. And let us hope after 2 days, what is the takeaway for India in G20 from G20 venue